Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Linda, this is Beyond Brass. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. And to those that are not new, thanks for your consistent presence and always being here. So today, what I want to do is make, we all have like stacks and stacks and stacks of junk mail envelopes. Unless you have gone paperless with your bills, or Canada Post is on strike and you're not getting any junk mail, which is also a thing. I have little words all over my desk because I started doing one video and then I don't know, changed my mind. So what I want to do is use this as a base and create a tag. So there will be a bit of creating almost like a master board out of it. And I want to utilize the window as well. You could also do it in such a way that you cut it open and sew around the top sheet, which I might actually do because I love sewing, but I never do it on what I'm doing here. So let's, you know, live dangerously. So I always cut my tags about 3 by 5. So don't worry if your envelope is kind of a little beat up on one side, because we're going to cut that off. Or I am. You could too. You can keep this strip or throw it away. I mean, depends upon whether you thought that blue from the, with mine, I've got that blue. Might put that in my scrap bin because, you know, why not? I can't find my desk right now. I need to clean it. I need to throw some stuff away. And that would be about 5, which should be good. So I think that's a nice size. And then if I was going to sew around that, is that 3 by 5? That is not 3 by 5. That is 3 by, I don't know what I cut that. Get a ruler. Find out what I cut that. Oh yeah, I cut it 3 by 5. I need it 3 by 6. Let's try again. So 3, like so. You can keep this if that means my blade needs. If you wanted to, you could keep that if you wanted to use that security bit or just as paper. It's up to you, or throw it away. And then we want to cut it at 6 inches for a fairly standard size tag. Most tags are 3 by 6. That's 6. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether this 6 is on my ruler. And then you can keep this little bit and use it as a little edge. If you've got a page, a journal page, you can fumble around. You could put that on the corner of a page like so. But I would cover it first. You could then like tuck one corner in like this. So this is definitely very usable. So we're keeping that. And then what I will do, so from here you can leave it like this so that it's open, so that you have the interior pocket here. And then when you make it into a tag, you've got a pocket on the front of it. I was going to do a prototype and then I like did it kind of wrong. I glued this side shut, and the whole point was to leave it open so that you could put something in behind that, the window of it. Yeah. So I think what I'll do is I will collage over top of it first and then cut the corners to make the tag. So what I want to do, I'm going to use, pardon me, scrambling around. I'm going to use some of the background pages from my pumpkin kit, which is also kind of a fall kit. All the background pages are fall related more than pumpkin related, but there are pumpkins in it. I'll try to make this part quick. If you wanted to sew around this top part, what I would do is I would pull it apart. So I would pull the this little bit here. And actually, let's do that. Like so. And then glue it shut after you've sewed around the tag. So let's do it that way. And I'm gonna cheat on the corners. Like, I'm totally gonna cheat on the corners. I will show you what I'm gonna do. I like these little torn edges. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that like that. At the thrift store, and you probably won't be able to find them, and you can't tell on this. These are labels, and like I said, you can't tell. It's really heavy stock. And they're CD labels, so I will show you what they look like. They're like this, so they've got a little cutout in them, which are perfect, absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize the round bit of it, and I'm going to take one. They're too short. You can see that they're way too short. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then in half, and I'm just going to put one in each corner, like, if I can get my glue out. I always put glue, extra glue in the corner or on the back of stickers, just in case. I mean, stickers can hold. I have no idea how old these labels are, so the glue could be really good. It might not be. So rather than worrying about it, I am just going to put glue on there. And that just is about perfect. And a little extra glue. And then I don't have to worry about rounding out the corners of the windows, because I happen to really like that, the round of the windows, but it's really hard to get. So this way, I'm cheating completely, full on cheating. And like, come on. They don't fit perfectly, but they're pretty good. And one more. Like so. And then where they don't fit, like there's tiny, tiny little bit of white space, I will cover that with the background paper. So now technically you don't need to cover this because it's going to be glued to a piece of cardstock to give it extra weight, because I don't think that the weight of the envelope is going to be sturdy enough for a pocket tag, not a pocket. This could be a pocket. It's not going to be a pocket. It's going to be a tag. I know what I'm doing. I totally know what I'm doing. No, I don't want to use that one because that's going in the corner. This is what happens to me when I collage, is I forget what I'm doing. Or how I want to do things. And then I'm like, oh, no, that doesn't work like that. But that works like that. And put glue on that. So I'm just going to fold that over just so I don't lose where that line is. And then also that makes it, if you do it while it's still wet, it gives it a little bit of a bump. So now it's not going to actually lay flat, which is what you want. You want that little tiny bit of a bump in there, so that when you close it, it lays flat. If you don't do that, if you lay it completely flat, it will buckle your paper. So make sure that you fold while your paper is still wet, and you'll get that nice crease. Even though it looks like it's not nice, it's going to be perfect when it's done. And then I am going to glue that there. And I think with this one, I am going to trim it. Rather than oh, no, I can do it that way. Trim it, trim it. or trim it like so, and pull that in like so. Make sure that's got enough glue on it. And then pull that one like so. All right, so far so good. Conceivably, you could put like a piece of paper against the edge of that window and come along the edge with a tiny little bit of distress ink. If you see that little bit of white and you're not happy with it, just put a little bit of distress ink. Excuse my arm. Like so. And you can see that that kind of covers it. And by putting a little piece of paper along there, you don't get it on your acetate. And then or there's so many options with this one piece of paper. Now again, I want to make sure that I keep this open when I collage on it so that I can sew on it. Put that like so. I put that, there it is. Let's put this along here. Like that. That will work. And do that. I kind of like folding over in places like that, just so that I get a nice clean finish at the edge. In this case, it's not going to be as important because this is going to be a tag and it's going to get cut off anyway. Just a little extra glue. You could use glue stick. I'm using Bearly Arts just because it dries quicker and it won't buckle the page as much. And let's take this. so. Cut off all the whitey bits. I need that, like so. Yeah, like so. Don't need to turn that over, Linda. I'm gonna put it like that. Just, I think, the way that I had it before, but turned it over because, you know, that's how I roll. Now, in a case like this, you've got a corner here and a lot of excess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim and trim like so that I've cut that off using the edge of that envelope. Push that over until it's flat, kind of burnish it down a little, and then do the same here. Again, all of that is gonna get cut off when I make it into a tag, but put that there, like so. Try to bring that down far enough that it is kind of at the line of where that window opening was. Now, if you wanted it to be a little less noticeable on a line like this, I could have put that sticker above this piece of paper, but it's not that gonna make that much difference. As a tag, it's going to have more on it anyway. But I am gonna glue that paper a little better. All right, so there's that. Oh, decisions. It's like not that hard, but I make it so complicated for myself. Oh, I can't put that there. I don't like that like that. That works. All right, so I need to trim a little bit of that off or it's going to show in the window. Conceivably. Ooh, I like that. Of course I like that. Oh. That would work. As long as I pulled it up far enough over that it covered the white spot. The reason I tore it that way is I initially tore it the other way, and then the white was on the top of the page or the paper, and I wanted it on the bottom. And put that like so. Just trim that off a little bit. Now this is the inside of that envelope. Boom. I'm just gonna burnish this down a small bit here and here just to make sure it's flat. And I know I need to put something right there. Then like so. Again, I could have put the little corners for the windows on after I put everything else on, and if I do it again, I'll do it that way. And technically this piece is going on upside down, but don't tell anybody, okay? Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is make it into a tag. And I need to have it shut when I do that. Well, I guess I could leave it, oh, no, I do. I need it shut while I do that. Because I need to be able to cut this corner off. And it's got a fold, and if I have it open, it won't work. So I've got that shut like so. And like so. And I am going to go sew around this and hope my furnace is off by the time I come back, or you'll be, and I'm going to sew around the window too. I'll be right back. I do a much better job messy stitching around round bits. And if you're like I am and you've sewn for a long time and you want to do messy stitching, go faster than you normally do, which for me is very fast. Yeah. So that doesn't look very good because it's got like privacy stuff in the background. So let's put some paper in there. I'm gonna sneeze, which would not be a good thing. I hope I don't sneeze. For your sake, I hope I don't sneeze. So you can do it that whatever you put in it is, oh, I totally am gonna sneeze. The minute I paused my video so I could sneeze, it stopped. Yep. So I could put it so that I had like, not sure why I took that one out, seeing as I have, oh, wait a sec. I was gonna use this one, but this is the, right. I do need to use this one, or, no, this one. Too many papers on your desk, Linda, too many papers. So you could do it so that you have an image behind the window when the tag is complete, and then whatever goes on top of it will cover that image and give you like a second image. Or you could do it that you put something fairly neutral in the background like that. And then whatever goes, I like that. That's kind of what I think I would like. So, big scissors. And I'm just gonna kind of, sort of trim it downish a little bit. Like so. So like I was saying, you could either do it somewhat blank, or so that whatever is inside of there is really plain, and then whatever goes on top is your focal point. Or you can do it that you have like two focal points, so to speak, so that you have a focal point when nothing is in the pocket and a focal point when something is in the pocket. Hopefully that made even a modicum of sense, because sometimes I think I don't make any sense at all. And I think I will use glue stick for this, because it's a large amount. And I'll trim it down. I'm going to put glue stick. I'm using just Elmer's Extreme. Really like this stuff. And yeah, I'm going to get it all over my mat, because why would I use a glue book or anything of that nature? The reason I don't like glue sticks is that I catch it on like things and then I wind up with glue everywhere. User error. It's nothing to do with the glue stick. It's totally user error. And kind of want it high enough up that that leaf shows at the bottom, and it needs to be far enough away from the fold of the envelope. It doesn't matter about this at all. That's all going to be glued shut, and you don't see that anyway. And then I'm just going to burnish that down so that I spread out all those big fun clumps of glue that I got in there. And just, I am going to use my ruler and the edge of that and trim off that little bit of excess paper, and hope I don't trim my envelope, also known as a tag. That's good. And trim that off and that off, like so. Now, just full disclosure, I have never done one of these before, so I am going to glue this like so. Try to get up here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Put it close enough so I can see what I'm doing, or close enough so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, you can see that I have my opening on the left-hand side. If you wanted your opening on the right-hand side, just cut your envelope on this side when you start, rather than that on that side. Now this to me is still not sturdy enough for a tag. It's close. Also, I can see that this is not even here. It is either how I trimmed it, aka user error, or how the envelope was put together. We're going to go with user error because that's more likely. And because of the shape of this, you can't put, let's put our lid on our glue stick so that doesn't dry out. So you can't really put anything above this line. So I am going to glue this with a line kind of straight and all along the top edge. And then that allows me the ability to put an eyelet in there as well. And then I am going to glue all of this at the bottom. And let's miter that. I like to miter when I'm doing a fold like this, just to make sure that it doesn't interfere in any way. So for the bottom, I'm just going to put glue along this. And I might have too much glue along the edge because this is not straight. Which again, that's my fault. But I'll just wipe the excess glue off here. And I'm going to burnish that down a little bit so that it's nicely adhered. Like so. And that is not adhered. And so I'm just going to glue that so that that stays down. So now I have, let me put my pin back in my glue before I lose it completely. Now we have a windowed tag. Boom. Like I said, open this side if you want it to go in this way. But you can put something in there. Make sure when you do it that you measure from here to here and go a little bit shorter. So it would be approximately 5 inches, 4.5 to 5 inches. And then you can do it the 3 inches wide or 2 3/4 inches wide so that it'll fit inside. You could do it so that it has a whale tail and comes out and you just pull it out. So I cut a piece of cardstock 3x6, the same size as the tag. I need to cut the corners off. And I put the eyelet in and forgot that I needed to put it on the cardstock on the back to cover, because that's not covered. So ignore the big hole in there. Yeah. It shouldn't make a difference because I need to punch a hole once this is glued on, and this should hold that. If you were worried about that, what you could do, if you made a mistake like I did. You're not going to make a mistake like I did. But if I'm worried about that, what I could do, probably might, no, I won't. I could cover that, and that should. So then the decision is, do I put the really orange one on the back there? Which would look okay. I kind of like that. That was my initial idea. But then when I turned it over, I discovered it had this really cool, almost star pattern. I got a bunch of these cardstocks at the thrift store. And I think that they're all the same brand. I don't know what they are. Because there's a whole bunch of them. I got them in like 3 different batches at 3 different thrift stores, and they're all the same, which is to me really randomly weird. So I think I am going to use that one because I feel like it goes more with the deep orange in this one. Oh, I love that. And just gonna put glue. I could use glue stick. You could use glue stick if you wanted to do this. And make sure that's nice and even. The thing I like about Bearly Arts is it gives me room to kind of maneuver things a little before it's fully adhered. Interesting. There's still a little tiny lip here. So I think that I didn't fold over that top quite enough, but it's not going to be that significant. And if I was worried about it, I could use a corner punch and punch the corners, but I'm not sure how that would affect the sewing. Now I need to trim that, and it's a little bit tall, so trim that. And that. And hey, I know exactly where to put my eyelet. I had such a pretty one too. And I need to make sure that I use a slightly bigger eyelet I think this one will work. Yeah. That's the same one I had in there before. Yep. And that's nice and secure, not going anywhere. So even though I put it in wrong, pulled it out, it's still holding really well. So now, to me, that feels like a tag. It's good and sturdy. When I open it to use the windowed part of it, it's still got some weight to the backing of it because of the being held in place. If you wanted to, you could actually glue the cardstock on first and sew around it. Because you open it up, you can sew around the front, have glued on the cardstock, sew around the back, and then glue it all shut at the end so that your sewing isn't going to match, but you have sewing front and back as well. But hopefully that will give you an idea of what to do with all these junk mail envelopes that we have laying around. And if you don't have a whole bunch of junk mail envelopes lying around, look at the thrift store. They often sell boxes of windowed envelopes. So just be on the lookout when you go out thrifting for odd things that you can do. And this is a great project if you want to make something, but you don't have a lot of money. You're on a budget and you want to make a tag. Just pull out an envelope and make something that way. And until next time, have a lovely crafty day. Bye.